Welcome to Gone Outdoors. Kyle Agre and Scott Brewer of Brewer Agre Outdoors. Talking hunting, talking fishing, and talking anything you can do outdoors for the next hour right here on Kello News Talk 1320, 107.9 FM, and KWSN 1230 AM, 98.1 FM, both out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and the mighty 790 KFGO Fargo 104.7 FM. Today's Gone Outdoors is brought to you by Ray's Sport Marine, your local Lund Boats and Bennington Pontoon dealer in Moorhead. RaysMarineMoorhead.com. Adventure RV across from the Fairgrounds in West Fargo, your number one RV dealer in the FM area. AdventureRVSales.com. Devil's Lake Tourism, looking for wide open spaces, amazing fishing, and a refreshing escape? Discover Devil's Lake, where adventure, relaxation, and North Dakota hospitality come together. Plan your stay today at devilslakend.com. Line-X of Fargo. This is Line-X country, home of the adventurous. And Onyx Fish Midwest. Cast beyond the familiar. And we are excited to be here for a South Dakota special edition of Gone Outdoors. It's always fun when we get to focus in on all the good things happening down there in our South Dakota affiliate stations and the surrounding areas. Scott, it's an exciting time of the year. We're doing a South Dakota special edition, Gone Outdoors, and full disclosure, we're recording it here just a day or two before it airs. We're actually live on our Fargo station at the Red River Valley Boat and Marine Products Show. So we've got folks who are out there predator hunting. We got folks who are out ice fishing. We got folks who are out shopping for boats and thinking open water. It's kind of a mix of everything going on this weekend.
Yeah, it certainly is. And you nailed it on the head earlier when you said this is a South Dakota special edition and South Dakota and surrounding areas. Because I believe one of our guests will be from South Dakota, one will be from that northwest Iowa area, and one's going to be southwest Minnesota. So, but they're all going to be within like an hour and a half driving distance. Well, except for the South Dakota one. Actually, our South Dakota segment is the furthest drive than the Minnesota or the Iowa segments, but there should be very good information for our Sioux Falls listeners, I think.
That is awesome. We love it. And there's just so much going on without, narrowing down into a particular area when we start talking about what's happening in all of the listening area of Gone Outdoors. I mean, we go well up into Manitoba. We go east into Minnesota, far west into the Dakotas, down into Nebraska, Iowa. I mean, we cover a pretty wide swath.
Yep. And if I know most of our listeners down in Sioux Falls, they don't mind driving a little bit for some good outdoor action. I know up here where we live in Fargo-Moorhead area, I mean, if we wanted some good fishing, we got to drive an hour pretty much, no matter which direction we go. Sometimes it's 2 hours. Sometimes it's further than that. It really depends on where we're trying to go. And I'm pretty sure our South Dakota fans are the same. If they want to go predator hunting, maybe they're traveling all the way out to western South Dakota. Maybe they're traveling over into Minnesota or heading up to North Dakota. But no matter what, you are putting a few miles on your truck just like we are.
Absolutely. And you know what's fun is the fact that when we start talking fishing, it wasn't too many months ago, and Onyx Fish Midwest added South Dakota. So now we really cover Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, the primary areas here within the Gone Outdoors listening area. And I know there's more to come. And so it's lots of really, really good information at our fingertips that we're able to access on those apps.
And with Onyx Fish, there is still a discount code. If you have not signed up yet, you can go to the website. You got to do it off of the website and not off of the phone app. But you can go to Onyx Fish or Onyx Hunt. I guess I'm not sure which one is it, Kyle.
OnyxMaps.com.
There we go, OnyxMaps.com. And if you sign up for Onyx Fish, you'll get a 20% discount if you use the code BA Outdoors, capital BAO, and you'll get a 20% discount. And then from there, you can sign up on the app and get it right off of your phone.
Absolutely. Scott, here in the last week, we've had some swings. We had some just nasty weather last weekend, and then we sure dropped into the deep freeze. And this week and headed into this weekend right now, I know up here, at least in North Dakota, and I think that extends well down into our South Dakota listening area, we're in the deep freeze. We're making some more ice, even though that's not what we're hanging on the edge of a cliff waiting for, but we're adding to that base of ice.
Although there are some areas, Kyle, that are kind of hanging on that edge. I know Big Stone Lake had some issues with some ice conditions, some slush, some open water. So although most areas up here in our neck of the woods anyway, we have very good ice, but not everywhere. And this cold weather is certainly going to help that a little bit. It'll help some of those areas heal so that as we get into late January, early February, we should have a lot better ice as we continue on, even though we might have to drill a little bit more.
Yeah, and that's okay. From what I've heard, those open water areas iced up pretty quickly once we dropped into the sub-zero temperatures into the ice box. But, it just goes to tell you, and I just have to say kudos to Artie's Bait there in Ortonville. They had some in the moment type posts on their social media pages to warn people, hey, things are changing quickly, over the last 4 hours or the last 12 hours, over the last whatever period of time. Here's what's happened, and kept people kind of up to speed. And, it's that kind of communication that you really like, and look at the positive side of our social media communicating, and you think that's a good thing, and to get that information out there as quickly as we can. We may never know, but those are the type of things that potentially can save people.
Yeah, like you said, Kyle, that's the positive side of social media. Make sure you look for reputable sources wherever you're going. Like, we talked about on our Lake Winnipeg seminar. Look up the Lake Winnipeg Report. That is a very reputable source for travel on Lake Winnipeg. If you're going to Big Stone, look up Artie's, because they'll post quite often what the conditions are. If you're going to Devil's Lake, wherever you're going, look up the reputable sources so you can get accurate information.
Speaking of accurate information, Scott, we got some great sources of information for today's show. Ty Brouwer, he has been on with us before. He does an awful lot of predator hunting, and that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about predator hunting, coyote hunting. This time of the year, that's something that a lot of folks are out there doing and taking advantage of, maybe saving a few fawns while they're at it, maybe a few turkeys on their hunting land. Darrin Jones, Big Fin Guide Service there in Northwest Iowa, as you said, Scott, going into the Iowa region, Okoboji, Big Spirit Lakes, and that area. He's going to give us an ice condition report. He's going to give us a fishing report and kind of let us know what he does for his clients out in that area. And then we'll head west. Craig Oyler. He is a Rapid City, South Dakota professional angler and educator, and we're going to talk about Hooked on Hardwater. We've talked about this in years past. We're going to find out what's going on this year and what the new take on that event is, and just kind of refresh ourselves on all the great things that they're doing out there with that event. We have a lot ahead of us, folks. We do need to take a quick break, but don't go away, because we'll be back with more Gone Outdoors.
Looking for somewhere to get all your fishing information in one place? onX Fish Midwest has something for you. Search for new fishing areas with filtering features such as species, abundance, trophy potential, lake survey info, regulations, and area insights are just a click away.
Getting to your target lake has never been easier with access points and public land ownership clearly marked on onX Fish. Mark and customize waypoints and weather for your exact location. Use code BA Outdoors to get 20% off onX Fish Midwest at onxmaps.com.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Gone Outdoor Radio, our special South Dakota edition of Gone Outdoor Radio. You are listening on Kello News Talk or KWSN. Scotty Brewer, Kyle Agre, Brewer Agre Outdoors, and we really appreciate you sticking around with us today. On this segment, we are going to chat with our Gone Outdoor predator expert, Mr. Ty Brouwer. How you doing, Ty?
Gentlemen, I'm fantastic. And yourself?
So we didn't make you blush by calling you our predator expert, did we?
I'm flattered hearing that from you guys. We'll put it that way. How's that sound? 'Cause I don't consider myself that. But
Nobody will ever know if you blushed or not, Scott.
Yeah. In our world,
the face of radio.
In our world, Ty, you are an expert. In your world, with the crowd that you hang out with, I'm sure you probably hang out with a lot of guys that know a heck of a lot more about it than you do. But certainly that is not us. So you live in southwestern Minnesota. What is the coyote population like around there right now?
Well, what I'm hearing from everybody that lives out in the country is they're all hearing them every night, and there's multiple coyotes. We're getting into the breeding season right now. Females are going into heat. Males are looking to find that mate. So they're moving. There's a lot of coyotes moving around right now, and with movement comes, kicking up prey, deer and rabbits, stuff like that. So these coyotes, they're covering a lot of ground. They're moving the prey around. They're also out there hungry when it's cold. They got to eat. So it's a good time to get out and get out after some of these coyotes and fox and stuff like that.
So, Ty, a lot of us hunters, whether we hunt coyotes or any predators, we talk about predators a lot. Why is it so important that we keep these predator numbers down?
These predators that we're talking about here and in the past do not have other predators. So coyotes are number one that we're going after. Nothing is hunting them. Nothing is keeping their population in control except for disease or, anything of that nature. So we're not going to eliminate them. I mean, that's going to be impossible to do. And we're not out there to eliminate them. We don't want to get rid of all the coyotes because they help, take out some of the diseased animals out there. But we need to keep them in check so they're not too many out there. I've had a few conversations within the last couple of weeks of people here around my area. Coyotes are up in the yards, out in the country. They're trying to lure their pets out into the fields and into the darkness at night. And there's coyotes that are attacking some of these farm dogs. So we got to kind of, make sure that they don't get out of hand and start taking away some of these pets too.
Yeah, I had a conversation with somebody from eastern North Dakota the other day. And she was telling me that she would let her dog out the other day, and there was a coyote that went running across their farmyard. And she said she thanked the good Lord that the dog did not see that coyote because she would have took after it. And she was very fortunate that the coyote didn't see her dog because that would have been a bad situation.
I had a customer, just talked to him 2 weeks ago, and he heard like a yelp from his dog, and it wasn't a normal bark or a yelp. So he ended up grabbing his thermal and looking out, and it was dark out, 9:00 at night. Well, here his dog was chasing a coyote. A coyote had come up on the yard, and tangled up with him a little bit and was running back to the CRP just south of his place. Well, here there were either 5 or 6 additional coyotes in that CRP running the fence line, almost waiting for their dog to come out there. It's almost like they were baiting and luring him out to that CRP. So luckily he was able to get his dog back, that time. But they're getting aggressive. I've got other guys that are saying the same thing. The coyotes will come up to their yard, they'll bait and lure them, get into a little tussle, run away, and they'll try to gang up on them. So
that's a little scary.
So we got to control that.
Yeah, when you start talking about your beloved pets, that is a little bit scary. Ty, you alluded to this. I want to go back just a little bit here. We've been talking about coyotes, and I think that's a primary target as we talk predator hunting, but you also mentioned fox. What's the scope of predator hunting? So if we have a license to hunt predators, what are we allowed to take?
Yeah. So, South Dakota, from my understanding, and don't quote me on this, but you got to have like a varmint tag. But in Minnesota, to shoot a coyote, you don't need anything. You don't need a small games license. You don't need a varmint tag, nothing like that. But now, like raccoons, you got to have a small game license. Fox, you have to in Minnesota. So I don't want speak out of turn for, the North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa. I mean, we got plenty of states that we're covering here, but, it's anywhere from coyotes, fox, raccoons. There's people that go out and hunt skunks. I know a guy that's north of Marshall here hunts skunks. So there's plenty of them. They're going after those ground nesting birds. They're out there. We got to clean them up, or not clean them up, but kind of manage their numbers.
Yep. So Ty, when we were talking off air, you had said that you're doing a lot of your hunting at night for a few different reasons, and thermals have to really, really, really help that. So are there any advancements in thermals over the last year since we've talked to you?
Yeah, the thermal, it's just technology in general. Look at your cell phone from 3-4 years ago to where it is now. The technology has gotten so much better and the prices have gone down. And if you look at a thermal today, that's around, that $2,000-$3,000. That was a $6,000 thermal, 3 to 5 years ago. So prices are coming down. The technology is getting better. It's getting a little bit more palatable to get into the thermal hunting game, but it's still expensive. But I went out a couple weeks ago and we were watching coyotes running around 300, 400, 500 yards, and we could tell that it was a coyote with the thermals that we were using. So it's nice to know and to be able to identify your target at night. Some of the cheaper versions or the older versions, it's just a white blob out there. So you don't know if it's a deer, if it's a coyote, what it is. But now you can definitely tell. And some of the expensive ones, you can really even see like the hairs on the coyotes. You can, and the coons, and, it's crazy the clarity on these scopes now.
So is your success rate higher at night than it is during the day?
I think the coyotes are a little bit less edgy at night, so they're willing to come out a little bit more. To be honest, I haven't done much daytime hunting lately just because I have kids that are in hockey and we're busy and work. So after they go to bed, I'll grab the rifle and I'll sneak out for a couple hours, still come home in a decent hour, get my rest, back to work and chasing after, the kids the next day. And the thermal hunting has allowed me to get back out in the field more than what I can do now. Yeah. When I didn't have kids, I was able to get out during the day and on the weekends and go out and about, but now it's just nonstop chasing. So my free time is after bedtime. So.
Well, that's good. If that allows you to get out and enjoy the hobby that you enjoy and maybe get rid of a couple predators in the process, it's a win-win for everybody. Ty, if people want to reach out to you, if they got any questions about thermals or about predator hunting, how can they get a hold of you?
I'm on Facebook, and then the Buffalo Ridge Sharpshooters is our local Facebook page that we use for all of our shooting outdoors here in Southwest Minnesota. So, Buffalo Ridge Sharpshooters, or just find me on Facebook, and I'm here to help.
Perfect. Thank you very much, buddy, for coming on Gone Outdoors. We really appreciate it.
Yes, thanks for having me, and I can't wait for next time.
Stick around. We will be back with more of our South Dakota edition of Gone Outdoors after this short break.
Experience unrivaled power with the Ion Alpha Ice Auger. Choose from the Steel Bit Alpha or the Ultralight Alpha Plus.
Available in 1 or 2 battery configurations, the 8-inch model cuts an incredible 1,200 inches of ice on a single charge, blazing through at 3.4 inches per second. The 10-inch model drills 1,200 inches at 2.2 inches per second. It's called the Alpha for a reason.
Find yours at your local retailer or visit ioniceaugers.com. Welcome back to the second half of this morning's Gone Outdoors. Kyle Agre and Scott Brewer of Brewer Agre Outdoors, talking hunting, talking fishing, and talking just about anything you can do outdoors here on Kello News Talk and KWSN, both out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, on this South Dakota special edition of Gone Outdoors. We're excited. We get to visit with a gentleman here who makes his living down in that area, a little bit to the southeast of Sioux Falls. Darrin Jones, Big Fin Guide Service. Darrin, welcome to Gone Outdoors.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, it's going great. It's going fantastic. And it seems like we wait and wait and wait for ice to come, right? So we can get out there and wet a line through the ice, and then it happens. And, let's be honest, winter's going by pretty quickly. We're almost all the way through January now, and days are slowly but surely getting a little bit longer, and things are progressing. How's the winter been down there in Northwest Iowa?
Oh, it started off on fire really well. We had pretty good first ice, and we've transitioned kind of into having some open holes on some of the lakes and some really big holes on West Lake. Going into this weekend, it's going to be definitely, there's a lot of watch outs out there. We don't have any vehicle traffic as far as trucks and cars yet. Got some ATV traffic going on. That's been going pretty well, but there's definitely some areas to be heads up on. So,
hey, Darrin. So we've heard a few different lakes up here in our area too, up, like Big Stone, for example, that has had some of those issues too. What do you think is causing that? Is that just from those couple of warm spells that we had?
Well, for us, it was really about how nice it was late into the season before the ice really got going. So we had a lot of Canada geese keeping these holes open, and we had a lot of wind. So that was just exacerbating those holes. And now the last week and a half or so, we've had several days over 40 miles an hour. So those goose holes never, healed up. And so now you've had that wave action really pounding on that and breaking up the ice. And so we've got Winter Games weekend coming up here in the area for a lot of folks, and a lot of that stuff's been moved off the ice just because of those ice conditions on West Lake where they have most of those activities on. Not going to be safe for that nighttime travel.
Darrin, what do you recommend for folks in your area? Is there a place to go to get information on where those hazard areas are? Are you part of that network that kind of helps people get informed and stay informed? What would you recommend to people listening in if they're going to head your direction?
Yeah, they can always call me, but the best local knowledge of the people that are kind of checking ice every day are the bait shops in the area. Oak Hill Outdoor, Stan's Bait in Milford, Cable's Trading Post. They're doing a pretty good job of keeping everybody informed. And so you can just give them a call. They do have a really good Facebook presence. They're out checking ice, measuring it. And they actually have, some of those guys actually have waypoints down. Cables has some waypoints to watch out for if you're going on Big Spear for perch and walleye. That's kind of been the go-to up in that area.
Fantastic. It's good. We want to keep people safe. We want to keep them fishing and keep enjoying that sport. Now we get past the ice conditions, and we got to get to the real question here. And that, Darrin, is how are the fish reacting this winter? How's the bite been? And kind of what are you seeing?
The perch bite's been really good up on Big Spirit. It seems like the guys that are doing better are using live minnows. Hook through the dorsal fin on 8-ounce spoons has been really good, or 4 or 5 millimeter tungsten. That's been great on the bottom, tipped with wigglers or wax worms as well. It seems to be kind of the best thing that I've been having work for me lately has been going to West Lake Okoboji, slowing down with that like 64th ounce size up to a 32nd ounce VMC tungsten tubby has been really good with wax worm stripped off the back, keeping that good horizontal presentation, just a nice, easy cadence, letting those fish come in those vertical coontail beds that are still green, where they're using that for obviously for cover and also foraging around for food.
So you're looking for the green weeds. What kind of depths are you looking for? Are you fishing the edges, or are you kind of fishing the pockets?
The favorite. Yeah, my favorite kind of go-to has been in the 8 to 12 foot range, good standing weeds with some sand nearby, some sand flats. That seems to be the best for me anyway as of late. I actually just got off the ice with a couple of folks here, some new ice anglers just before I got on the air here, and we did pretty well. We just needed this. We had to really slow down and pick off those fish. They kind of wanted to be closer to the bottom on this high pressure day we had today, and so we had to get a little lower in the water column. We've been fishing up a little higher, about halfway up in like 8 to 10 foot. And so that was key for us today, is to stay low and kind of make a smaller profile and make it happen.
Are you seeing with a lot of the swings we've had in temperatures? I mean, you mentioned the fact that it was warm, that it was windy. Now we've gotten cold again. That's really affecting the reaction of these fish to our baits.
Oh, 100%. I think, we're just going to get into a cold spell now, and that'll help. And I always like to kind of look at that barometric pressure, and we'll get several days of the kind of the same weather with the same wind and everything. I think, and I'm looking at maybe Wednesday, Thursday would be a better day around here to target. And then if you have the sun too, that also helps. The water, because of all that wind, those open holes, that water was gin clear. We don't have any snow on our ice, so that's also making it a little bit tough. And those fish are spooky. Now we've got a little bit of stain to the water, so that's helped. Those fish not pick apart those baits as much and get those fish to finish. So that's been really key.
Darrin, when they're really finicky and spooky like that, do you find that you just have to sit down and wait for them to come back, or do you take the mindset of you're gonna just continue to move and chase until you find some that are active?
What's really been good for me is I've been trying to find these little pockets where there is a little bit of snow holding on, or where someone maybe fished and we've had some snow squalls the last couple of days. So there's places where people have already fished or have a hole, and I've kind of been going back to that same area. I've kind of got it figured out where I've got some waypoints down, and I just like to sit down on those fish because I know they're there and there's good numbers of them there, instead of making a bunch of noise with my ATV and drilling a bunch of holes. I just kind of like to get away from that crowd, set up and just wait them out. And so finding those little patches of snow or the ice is a little more discolored, and then I just set up there and just kind of wait them out, and they filter through. It seems like, the afternoons have been a lot better for me, kind of from that 2 o'clock to the 5 o'clock as the sun kind of starts to drop a little bit. Also getting a few crappies mixed in up a little higher in the water column as well.
Yeah, I tell you what, when you talk about not having a lot of snow on the ice, if you can find those pockets that have collected a little bit, it's kind of like finding, some lily pads, right out in the open where they can just kind of hunker
100%.
down under that and just feel secure and safe. So that's a really, really good pointer for folks. Darrin, I want to give you a chance to just share a little bit about your business, your guide service. Tell us what you offer your clients.
So my customers, basically, young kids all the way through expert anglers. If you're whatever bite you're looking for, we kind of just quantify you when you call. We say, what are you looking to catch? Do you have kids? What's your experience? We can just kind of qualify the person and what they're looking to do, and we can just tell you what the bite is in that time frame and what you might be looking for if you're looking for perch or walleyes or bluegills, crappies, that kind of thing. And there's a really good mix of fish down in this area for multi-species situations. So we kind of have a lot of options here. And so the best way to find me is to go to Facebook. You can follow me on Big Fin Guide Service LLC, or just personal message me through that, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Or you can call me at 712-420-9972.
That is awesome. Darrin, excuse me, Darrin Jones, Big Fin Guide Service. Darrin, we appreciate you taking a little bit of your time this morning to visit with us. Thank you for what you do, and thank you for sharing a little of that expertise with us.
100%. Everybody have a great weekend. Be safe out there.
Folks, we are not done yet. We have more ahead of us, but we do have to take a quick break. We'll do that, and when we will come back, we have a whole lot more Gone Outdoors yet in store.
The all-new Eskimo Outbreak XDP shelter gives you the same great fishable space as the original Outbreak, but packs down up to a foot shorter for easier transport.
Available in multiple sizes, the XDP features dual heat ports, giant windows, and an oversized carry bag. Whether you're camping for the weekend or fishing for the afternoon, the Outbreak XDP has everything you need for an enjoyable time on the ice.
Check out the all-new Outbreak XDP at geteskimo.com. Hey everybody, welcome back to our special Sioux Falls edition of Gone Outdoor Radio. You're listening on Kello News Talk or KWSN, or maybe you're listening to the podcast. Scotty Brewer, Kyle Agre of Brewer Agre Outdoors, and we are going to chat with Craig Oyler. He is a Rapid City professional angler, educational angler, and an all-around good guy. How you doing, Craig?
I'm great. How are you fellas?
We're doing great. We're talking ice fishing. I mean, I mean, really,
What can
it
be
be
better
bad?
than that?
Yeah, exactly. So generally, we try and get you on to talk about an event that you guys do down in the Rapid City area every year. It's called Hooked on Hardwater. It's an annual fundraiser for the Rapid City Boys Club, or the Rapid City Club for Boys. What are the details before we get into why you do this and why some people may want to be listening right now? Let's get into the details. When is it? How does it work?
So it's February 21st this year. And the down and dirty is we bring in 60 professional anglers. We've had people like Jason Mitchell and Dave Gins and guys like that come out, and we partner them with an underprivileged boy from the Rapid City Club for Boys. It's on the ice. It's that one-on-one attention, teaching them the ins and outs of fishing. But, it's so much more than learning about fishing. It's just truly that one-on-one attention from a positive, caring adult. And a lot of these boys don't necessarily have that. And I'm not saying all of them do, but there's a lot of boys that might not have a father figure in their house, and just someone to show them a little bit of the outdoor world and just that time, So that's like the big part of that Hooked on Hardwater event. But then the second part is we have a fundraiser banquet at that night, and we're on our, I think it's our 13th year, and we raise money, and it goes to support the Club for Boys, and we've I think after last year or the year before, we've broke the $1 million mark that this event has raised for the club.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. So correct me if I'm wrong here, but so the event is on the 21st, which is a Saturday, I believe, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
So you said you'd get together that night for the fundraiser, but I also believe you do something on the 20th. So are you doing something both nights then?
Yep. So the 20th is the meet and greet, we call it, where all the pros go down to the Club for Boys. And it's where they get to meet and get paired up with the boy that they'll be fishing with. And my reason for doing that was twofold. The number one was for the pro and the boy to meet each other, get to know each other, and get that awkwardness out of the way so they're not experiencing that up on the ice. And then it's also to show the pros what they're supporting. They get to see the facility in all its glory. And if you haven't been, if you're ever coming through Rapid City, I highly recommend you go down to the Club for Boys and ask for a tour, because there's no other place like it in the nation. And it's just one of those where you walk in and you can sense the chaos because it's filled with boys, but you can sense the need for it too, and the love that's inside that building and the caring that's inside that building. And it's just a remarkable place.
So Craig, to get 60 pros there, and I know Rapid City isn't a small area, but it's not that big either. So you're drawing in pros from all over. I would like to personally say thank you, not only to you for what you do, but thank you to all 60 of those guys for coming out. Where are you drawing all of these pros from?
Our record is we've had 14 states represented. As far as New York, Scott Brouwer, the Mackey Plastics guy, he comes in from New York when he can. We've had people from Texas come out. We've had one guy from Florida come out, and they're not necessarily professional ice anglers, but they're professional anglers, and truly, they don't even have to be professionals, really. I mean, there again, it's just that professional human being is what I ended up calling them, just because they're just good people that actually care, and that's what we're really truly looking for.
Craig, you're talking about an event that has stood the test of time, that continues to be impactful, both for those who are there volunteering as well as those who are the recipients. As we are listening to Gone Outdoors today, and we've got our audience listening in, what can we do to help?
The easiest way is we have what we call Sponsor a Boy. So if you go to theclubforboys.org, you might have to Google it because I'm not 100% sure that website's accurate. But if you Google Hooked on Hardwater Sponsor a Boy, you'll find a tab where for $100, you can provide the meal to sure that they're fed on the ice. Then that is gloves, hats, pants. If the boy doesn't have that gear, those Sponsor Boy dollars buy that gear for them, and then they get to take it home with them at the end of the event.
So, Craig, where does all the funds go? Let's talk a little bit about the Club for Boys and what all that money is used for.
Well, so the Club for Boys used to be part of the Boys Club of America. Well, then they changed to the Boys and Girls Club. And so Rapid City already had a great girls organization called Girls Incorporated. The Boys Club was there. My dad was the executive director at that time, and he just thought there's no reason to compete with the Girls Incorporated. And he also didn't want to introduce the girl problem to boys going through that stage of their life. And so they left the Boys Club organization. So it's a single unit organization. It's not funded nationally or anything like that. And it is the busiest building. If you take all the Club for Boy or Boys Clubs across America, it's still the busiest membership, the busiest day-to-day attendance and everything like that. So the monies go to support the club. When I first started the event, I said, I don't want to pay the light bill. I want to pay for outdoor activities. Well, it's grown and it's gotten big enough to where it's paying the light bill now too, so this event is just carries on the day-to-day operation of the Rapid City Club for Boys.
Boy, Craig, I would think that any boys club or Club for Boys in any area, if they had a couple hundred members, couple hundred kids that they impacted every year, that would be a lot. And from the information that I had read, last year there was 1,049 boys that were members last year, which just blew me away. I can understand why you said it's the busiest building in the city.
Yeah, and it's always been that way. They've had years where it's been 1,400, 1,500 members, and that's not day to day, but in the summertime there'll be 300, 400 to 500 kids come through. And the big thing is that I didn't mention is the membership is $12 a year. That's what it costs a boy to become a member. So if they show up for one day, eat one meal, they cost the Boys Club money.
Yeah, and you served 65,000 meals last year. So if you want to know, for our listeners, where some of this money goes to, that's where it goes. I mean, just to keep the lights on, like you said, has got to be a heck of a big undertaking. All right, Craig, you want to throw out there again real quick, how can people donate?
If they Google Hooked on Hardwater Sponsor a Boy, it should take them to a link where I think it ends up saying like you buy a ticket or you buy something like that, but it's $100 sponsorship and that goes towards the Sponsor Boy. And our goal every year is to have all 60 boys sponsored.
Perfect. Craig, thank you for what you do for this group. And thanks for coming on Gone Outdoors.
So thank you much for having me.
Special thanks to our Gone Outdoor show sponsors, Ray Sport Marine, Adventure RV, Devil's Lake Tourism, Linex of Fargo, Onyx Fish Midwest, and Ion Alpha. Thank you for tuning in to this special edition, South Dakota edition of Gone Outdoor Radio. Follow along when you're on the ice or in the field with Gone Outdoor Podcasts, KWSN.com, KELO.com, Apple Podcasts, or on Spotify. And visit us at breweragreoutdoors.com. Follow us on social media. And until next week, from Scotty and Kyle, we will be Gone Outdoors.